And now, an 8th special presentation.
This time on Art Beat Nation. A renowned artist's largest and final work.
One child came through and said car wash. Other people think of science fiction and space travel.
Visit a living memorial to the Holocaust.
This is not an exhibition that's about death. It's about life and death. It's about the past, and it makes you think about the future.
An architect combines his love for landscapes and sculpture.
It's always thrilling to me to take something that's really mundane and make it into something that you weren't expecting.
And one artist learns that computers don't solve everything.
Computer is a great way to make money, but it's sort of a dead end spiritually. You know, it's not really, it just doesn't have the satisfaction.
It's all ahead on this edition of Art Beat Nation. Funding for Art Beat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you. First, we head to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, Texas, to an exhibit that has been so popular it may end up traveling the world. It is Venezuelan artist Jesus Rafael Soto's largest and final work, and its interactive nature is attracting visitors of all kinds.
Jesus Rafael Soto is one of the most remarkable artists of the 20th century. Born in Venezuela, the second half of his career took place in France, mainly in Paris. And he was one of an important generation who explored ideas of space, movement, kinetic art, essentially a formalist, thinking about color and shape and the realization of form, using what he knew about human perception in order to realize spectacular works of art like the one behind me here. It was commissioned in 2004, and many Houstonians will remember that we had a similar but much smaller work on loan from a private collection out on Bissonnette. And it was magical to see the interaction of the public with that work, and that gave birth to this much larger piece. Unfortunately, the artist died the following year, but his studio and his assistants continued the engineering necessary to make this work. It's 24,000 PVC strands, all of them hand-painted with yellow in order to realize that perfect ellipse in the center. 8 tons of steel above or below the ceiling, and then of course all the lighting. It was all last summer that 7 people worked to thread each of those strands into the superstructure, the armature, and then it took another 4 weeks this spring in order to mount it here in Cullinan Hall. But it's spectacular. It's been, without question, our most popular work of art and enjoyed by our visiting public. I don't think any two experiences are alike. People bring so much of their own history and memory and experiences. One child came through and said car wash. Other people think of science fiction and space travel. The beauty of the work is that the imagination is set free, and you can experience it either as capturing space, because it is the realization of space, and we become so aware of that cube within that extraordinary fan-shaped volume that Mies van der Rohe created. The perception of that ellipse, which is constantly changing. To me, I like it most from outside and from this balcony, so I can watch individuals inside enjoying it and then watching the color dance as the yellow orb reflects light. But wading through it is a lot of fun too, and taking a selfie inside and then uploading it to your Pinterest or Instagram account and enjoying the printout that we provide here from the printer is a great souvenir to have from the museum. We'll take it down this autumn, and then we'll put it back up from time to time, every 2 or 3 years, as time allows and the space allows. But already a number of my colleagues at other museums have asked to borrow it. So I have a feeling this work has legs, and we'll be seeing it probably around the world in the years to come.
For more information about the exhibit, visit mfah.org. Up next, we visit the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York. We take a look at its core exhibit, which provides an intimate appreciation for the artistic talents and drive of those living in Nazi concentration camps during the Holocaust.
My name is David Marwell, and I'm the director of the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. The original building of the museum was completed in 1997, and the Robert M. Morgenthau Wing was completed in September 2003. Our mission is to teach people of all ages and backgrounds about 20th and 21st century Jewish history and the Holocaust. The core exhibition, which is composed of 3 floors, the first floor, without any foreshadowing, talks about life before the Holocaust, beginning in about 1880 with a great migration of Jews. The second floor deals with the Holocaust itself. And the third floor deals with this remarkable story of the rebirth of life and community following great tragedy. The first thing that a visitor sees when they enter our core exhibition is 2 quotes from the Bible. This is not an exhibition that's about death. It's about life and death. It's about the past, and it makes you think about the future because of the hope that it inspires. We tell this history from a Jewish perspective. So instead of saying, this is what the Nazis did to the Jews, which is the narrative structure of many Holocaust museums, our narrative structure is, this is what happened to me, to my family, to my community, to my people. So the story is told in the first person through the testimony of individuals who lived the history. Anyone dealing with Holocaust education has to confront the time which is coming within the next decade or 2, when there will be no one left alive who experienced the events of the Holocaust themselves. The gallery educators that our visitors encounter here, many of them are survivors. And that gives a tremendous power to the way we approach this history. Then there are also objects. These are a different kind of survivor. People come face to face with objects that were important to individuals at the time of the history we're telling. And they can look at that object and imagine the role it played and lend to it their own sense of empathy. We have, for instance, the trumpet that was played by a Dutch musician named Louis Bennett. He played this in the orchestra at Auschwitz, and it saved his life. And you can imagine it in his hands. You can imagine him blowing through the mouthpiece and understand the role that that played in saving him. Any museum that deals with the Holocaust has to approach the question of the scale of what happened. We have, thanks to the very careful, creative, and passionate work of a French Jewish lawyer named Serge Klarsfeld, the photographs of some 2,000 individuals who were deported from France to Auschwitz, most of whom died. There are 6 pillars, and each one has several hundred photographs on them. And we have a book that allows you to locate that person's name. And it's very important for the public to see these people not as victims, but as living people with varied and vibrant lives. And by showing that, you have some way of getting at, approaching, hinting at the impact of the Holocaust, because you're not simply seeing the number 6 million, you're seeing a small sample of that 6 million, but in the context of their lives. The Voices of Liberty is one of my favorite installations at the museum. It's located on the 3rd floor of the museum, and one can see the Statue of Liberty out in the harbor. And we said, what if we allowed the public to take in this view, but at the same time, hear stories of people seeing the Statue of Liberty for the first time?
What I really remember very vividly is the mist, and mysteriously the Statue of Liberty just appearing as a colossus.
It was freedom. It was beautiful.
My mother broke out the first pair of long pants so I would not get off the ship in lederhosen.
The only country I was accepted in was here, and it's a beautiful country.
even though much of it is about the Jewish experience. The Voices of Liberty tells a completely universal story about leaving home and coming to a new place. The Garden of Stones is an art installation by Andy Goldsworthy, the great British artist. It's composed of 18 large boulders. The largest one, I think, weighed 30,000 pounds when it was first brought here. Each of the stones has been hollowed out, filled with earth, and from each stone, a dwarf chestnut oak tree grows. The metaphor here is that life can take root and flourish even in the most unforgiving and unlikely circumstances. We conceive of this museum as a living memorial because what we do each day is to teach people and to provide a place where people can come, learn, reflect, and contemplate an important and difficult history within the context of the history that came before and after.
For more information, visit www.mjhnyc.org. In this segment, we visit a landscape architect in Portland, Oregon, who has found a way to transform his love for sculpture and nature into landscapes ranging from skate parks to promenades.
Well, I guess my work is somewhere on the spectrum between sculpture and landscape architecture, earthworks. It's not on a pedestal, and they tend not to be objects. They tend to be really knitted into their environment. I started out studying landscape architecture and design. I thought I wanted to be an architect, and then I started focusing on landscape architecture. But just somehow just wanted to make things physically myself. The first commission I got here in Portland was for a skate park in North Portland in Pier Park. So this is Walkwave. It's a skatable, walkable entrance walk into a skate park. One of the sidewalks sort of turns into a wave, and the other wall turns into a sidewalk. So there's this sort of Mobius strip happening as you walk through it. It's so much about flow and movement, and so the walkway really just, it's all about that. And the kids, they come into the park at the top and they just see this and they just jump on their boards and they just move with it.
It's really cool looking, it's fun, it's kind of got a little surfy feel. And I think it's a good first impression on the park for first comers.
We tend to want to do things that stay the same, and nature's the complete opposite. Nature's, everything in nature is always evolving and changing and growing or eroding. I've done a couple pieces where I've placed stone elements of the sculpture in juxtaposition with newly planted living trees and plants. And the idea is that over time, as those plants and trees grow, they start shifting and moving and heaving and cracking the granite that I've put out there with it. So the whole point of those pieces is for them to change over time. And that's sort of the beauty of them, in a way, that they're not static. The Falls is a work for Oregon City that another artist, Brian Borello, and I collaborated on. It's along this new waterfront overlook and promenade that the city was building, and so we joined the design team and came up with these very iconic 18-foot tall stainless steel pieces that have a fall-like quality to them. Hopefully it sort of creates a sense of the waterfall as part of this landscape, both natural and urbanized and complex. This is a public art commission with Seattle Public Utilities, and it is a the facade of a giant stormwater tank that's being buried halfway into the hillside. We're going to be placing these bird nests in the wall. So there'll be a space behind there where the birds can nest. These bird nests are going to have this facade of artificial tree bark. Just the quintessential tree bark, every tree's bark. So this will open up, it'll hinge up, and then there'll be space in the back in the wall for the birds to nest, and you'll be able to open this up and clean it out every year. And we're really trying to sort of turn it into a living wall instead of just being the side of a big tank. Just trying to weave it into the park in a really artful way. It's always thrilling to me to take something that's really mundane, really, that you take for granted, a sidewalk, and make it into something that you weren't expecting.
Finally, computers. They've become an indispensable part of our daily lives, reaching into every aspect of society, including art and design. In Cleveland, Ohio, we meet artist Jeff Suntala, who jumped aboard the digital highway early in his career, but found that the digital age is not for everyone.
In his art career spanning over 40 years, Clevelander Jeff Suntala has mastered many media and different styles. These days, his preferred medium is watercolors.
Urban landscapes are my real favorite, and there's just something about this town. If I do a nice, fun little watercolor, and you can maybe end up smelling the rust, that's what it's all about. I try to make a statement with the watercolor paint that's succinct. It's not overworked. It's simple. They're just honest reactions to what I see. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve.
He knows how to draw. He really does. I mean, that's a heck of that's a good solid background for almost any artist. It's just having the academic ability to draw and see things in volume, not just as an outline or something flat. He's very good at it.
It took Jeff a while to develop those skills. Starting out, he didn't think he was very good at it.
I was never sure I wanted to be an artist because I always assumed that everybody who was going into art was super fantastic. And then my senior year of high school, I took an art class, and the teacher explained to me that no, people progress. You've got a lot of talent. You can, if you wanted to go to school for art, you'd do well.
Eventually, Jeff got better. He took classes at the Cooper School of Art in Cleveland and wound up as an illustrator at an art studio.
There really aren't too many of those left anymore, but there used to be a lot of them in town. And I gradually worked my way up. It took me a long time. We do a lot of layouts for ads. The big agencies in town like Wise and Lang Fisher, Liggett Stash Hour would all come up with concepts of ads that they had to show their clients, and we'd be doing the layouts for them. We did line art using rapidographs, but I got attracted to gouache painting. What you do is you put down a tone first, like a tone of burnt sienna or burnt umber, and then you paint opaquely on top of that. So I, got the hang of painting in gouache. It was a lot of fun.
But the fun was just getting started. One day, a new device showed up in the office that would change the way artists and ad agencies did business: a computer.
They had a sample where they could change the color of the Eiffel Tower. We can make the Eiffel Tower tilt. We can do this, we can do that. And it was like, well, eventually this is going to be something. And the computers, they turned out to be the way to go in my business, that's for sure, in illustration.
Jeff took the plunge. It seemed like a good career move. He became proficient with as many software programs as he could get his hands on.
My buddies at the other art studios who had already bought computers were, you know, oh yeah, Jeff, glad you're in the fold now. You know, we can all share tips and, you know, give each other, you know, swap programs and whatnot. And it was really exciting. So I went whole hog into the computer. You know, I bought one for myself at home. It made it more risk-free, which is what it's all about in art. I mean, if there's no more buildup of traditional material. There's no problem like that on the computer. So, and it makes it super easy to change things. So when the client asks you to adjust something, there's no problem whatsoever.
Jeff's thirst for knowledge became more obsessive. He put more demands on himself and his machine.
When I first learned, it was in a program called Painter, and Painter had the ability to emulate traditional painting supplies. So you had watercolor and oil paint, and the oil paint even has an impasto effect, so you could see the ridges of the brush. And the watercolor effect in Painter, it was so cripplingly slow. I sat there, this is, you know, it's reached the point of ridiculousness. And the more I got into it, the more I realized this is crazy. You know, this isn't the real thing. A lot of wasted hours staring at that screen.
One day, Jeff had it with his PC, and he pulled the plug after realizing the negative impact it was having on an essential part of the art-making process that he enjoyed.
Computer is a great way to make money, but it's sort of a dead end spiritually. You know, it's not really, it just doesn't have the satisfaction.
It's the fact that you're not satisfied because you're leaving what you did on that screen. It's not something that you can all of a sudden look down and take home with you. You're not using your hand and paints. I've been trained all my life to work with pencils and pens, paper, and paints. And it's fun, and it's far more satisfying, I think.
After all those years of using a stylus and mouse, Jeff had lost his touch with a brush and paints, and he turned to a friend for help.
I teach approximately 2 classes every week. In many cases, I'm teaching 4 a week.
There's an illustrator in town named Bob Moyer, and he's regarded as the best. And he traditionally works in watercolor and gouache paint. And he's been teaching watercolor at Bay Crafters or Bay Arts or whatever, or in Lakewood Art League and all these places. He's been teaching it for 30, 40, 50 years. And I said, why am I not, you know, learning from him the traditional techniques?
He liked my style because I paint loose. You know, I try to keep everything moving. It's not just one area. I mean, the whole concept. And I paint loose. I think he was really geared to do that to begin with. I don't think he was capable of rendering tight. So he naturally fell into that, and he does some beautiful stuff. So, but he learned something from me, and of course, we all learn by other people.
These days, Jeff still uses a computer, but not to paint with.
The computer's a great tool for planning art, and I still use it to plan my watercolors, and I use it to problem solve my watercolors, and it's a great way to understand all of the principles that make a good painting, and that's what the computer can't do. The computer it still can't do that to this day, and that's the beauty of the whole thing.
For more arts and culture, visit azpbs.org/artbeat, where you'll find feature videos and information on the Arizona art scene. Funding for Artbeat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you.